Superhero Pop Quiz. How many Spider-Man movies overall has the character of Flash Thompson appeared in? The answer is a little tricky, so stick around to find out if you were right. Flash Thompson in all of his appearances so far has been a pretty big thorn in Peter's side. We've always seen him as just the bully who needs to be put in his place. But is the most recent version, played by Tony Revolori, posed to take a much bigger role in the MCU by becoming Agent Venom? I think it's possible. There really hasn't been a lot of time to fully explore the Eddie Brock Venom character until recently. The OG Spider-Man 3 tried, but thanks to studio interference, the movie shoehorned him into an overstuffed movie and cast the nerd Eric from that 70s show to play him. Yeah, that didn't go over too well. We're just now getting to explore the Eddie Brock character more thanks to the Sonyverse's Venom movie.
Eddie, when you had nowhere to go, we gave you a home.
And while that first movie made enough money to ensure a sequel and probable big future plans, I don't think the future of the Venom symbiote should be only tied with Eddie Brock. That's where Flash Thompson comes into play. Because who knows how this whole Sony partnership with Disney is going to shake out in a few years. Sure, everything seems good now, but thanks to that whirlwind month where Sony yanked Spider-Man out of the MCU, I constantly live in fear that I'm going to wake up one morning and find Sony and Disney once again at odds and lead to another big divide. Yeah, I know that's unlikely with all signs pointing to a multiverse scenario where the Sonyverse and the MCU coexist, but you never know. If the worst does happen, I think it's time for Flash Thompson to become Agent Venom.
Historic.
In the comics, Flash Thompson outgrows his bully tendencies and enlists in the army, where he's a war hero but ends up losing both his legs. Through an experimental project called Project Rebirth 2.0, with the original Project Rebirth obviously being the super soldier program that gave Captain America his abs and shoulder muscles, Flash was bonded with the captured Venom symbiote and became Agent Venom, a government soldier who had all the powers of Spider-Man and Venom, but looked a lot cooler while doing it. So given all the craziness with the Sonyverse, I think it's about time the MCU gave us something different with Venom, and this is the perfect way to do it. Flash Thompson, I hope you're ready. And I get that there's a lot of work to do. You look at Flash Thompson now, and there's just no way you would believe that this guy of all people becomes a decorated war hero and an awesome-looking symbiote soldier.
That is false.
Let's look at what we know about Flash so far. The MCU version isn't just the blockhead that other versions of the character have been. He's still a bully to Peter Parker, but definitely a different type of bully. He's your standard rich kid who loves to flaunt his wealth around and tries to be intelligent but only winds up accidentally upstaged by Peter Parker. Probably feeling a bit self-conscious, Flash constantly lashes out at Peter, which of course is ironic because Flash Thompson is one of Spider-Man's biggest fans.
What is it with you and Spider-Man?
In Far From Home, Flash is used mainly for comic relief as he becomes a minor social media star.
You almost broke my phone!
But there's actually a really tragic through line with the character for the whole film. First, when Peter hacks into Flash's phone, he finds out Flash texted his parents saying he hasn't heard from them in days. And then a really sad moment comes at the end when all the kids are picked up from the airport by their parents. Flash is picked up by his driver and very tragically asks, "Could mother not make it?" Now that could be just a darkly humorous punchline. The bully is actually having a sad, distant life from his parents sort of thing. But what if there's something wrong at home? What if something bad happened and it forces Flash to reevaluate his life? I could see something tragic driving Flash to the army, couldn't you? So if we follow that logic and Flash goes through a dramatic character transformation, just how could he become Agent Venom? Well, let's look to the multiverse for some possible answers. If the Sonyverse and the MCU want to stay separate for the most part, then here's my pitch. I think there should be one big crossover event in Spider-Man 3, where the MCU briefly comes in contact with the Sonyverse, meaning Spider-Man and Venom can meet. Then the universes split back apart from one another, but a little bit of the Venom symbiote is left in the MCU, and eventually finds its way to Flash Thompson, who becomes Agent Venom. Okay, if that doesn't excite you, let's discuss another way for this to happen. We know Tom Holland's Spider-Man 3 is going to deal with the multiverse.
That is correct.
Peter Parker is about to be thrown into a lot of crazy alternate worlds, and see the return of villains like Alfred Molina's Doc Ock and Jamie Foxx's Electro. We've even talked in depth about how there might be an alternate version of Ned Leeds out there who would be the Hobgoblin. If that happens, what if Peter stumbles upon an alternate universe where there's a fight going on between Ned's Hobgoblin and Flash's Agent Venom? That would really be a shock to Peter, seeing his best friend be a villain and his bully fighting for the side of good. Either way, Flash Thompson deserves to be more than just a joke side character. He has a rich comic history that should be highlighted in the MCU. Tony Revolori is an awesome actor who could totally nail a new side to Flash's character. They just gotta give him a chance. Because how satisfying would it be to see this version of Flash Thompson, who loves Spider-Man more than anything, become an inverse Spidey character that's attached to the Venom symbiote? Come on, make it happen, MCU. Still want to know the answer to that Flash Thompson question? Well, if you haven't Googled it and still don't know, so far, the character has appeared in 5 movies. Spider-Man 1 and 3, The Amazing Spider-Man, and of course the 2 Tom Holland ones. I think the Spider-Man 3 one is tricky because it's a silent cameo. Did you catch it? I almost didn't.